I'm going to put the music in so you don't have to listen to me singing the entire theme tune. But at this point, you'll have heard the proper theme tune and then me singing a bit of it. We are doing the Chronicles of Narnia.
First in an occasional series, I think.
Yeah.
Us revisiting our childhood favourites.
And this, I've just looked it up, this came out on the 13th of November, 1988. We're doing the BBC TV series. We're not doing the films. We are doing the 1988 to 1990 BBC TV series, which is one of my favourite TV programmes of all time. And we've watched... What?
This is one of your favourite TV shows of all time.
Yes, it is. It genuinely is. Like, when I hear the theme tune, I am taken back to my grandmother's house, which was a challenging place to be many a time. But on good occasions, when I think to the good memories of being in that house, I can feel the 3-bar fire stuck to the wall, the wooden 3-bar fire stuck to the wall. I can smell the cigarette smoke gliding through the air and sticking to the ceiling, and I can smell also the scampi and chips, which I had on demand there, and I can feel myself sitting cross-legged in front of the television next to all the decanters of alcohol, sat down on the floor on a very thin carpet watching the Chronicles of Narnia. So it has I know we're laughing about like it being, but I genuinely have this very, very nostalgic sense of like being at my grandma's house and watching this. And when I think about the timing as well, like 13th of November 1988 is when this first one, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, came out. That's just before I turned 8. So it's a really like seminal time in your life, isn't it, for TV watching?
Presumably the second episode will have shown on your birthday.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's very good. Well done. Well done, maths.
Well done at maths.
Yes. So I've got this very, very strong family connection to it and this real sense of nostalgia. Did you watch it when you were a kid?
I must have done, because when we watched all 6 episodes of this, and I remember having a conversation with my mum where I said, if a war broke out, where would you send me?
Oh, okay.
And I can only think, because I didn't watch The Railway Children, and I can only think that this would be what would have prompted it, unless it was. Do you remember that TV show How We Used to Live?
Is it
was
one
a school's TV program
where they pretended to be like back in time? Is it that?
I wouldn't say they pretended to be back in time. I'd say it was a period piece,
Okay.
an educational piece showing children how.
I think my description of it also makes sense to me.
Did they pretend
just pretended
to be feudal families in a
medieval times.
in a world of dragons and things like that?
Great.
No, so it was showing like, and it was the modern 20th century, so it was recent history. But yeah, unless it was that, I remember this being on telly. I remember this being huge at the time. So this was the thing that everyone was talking about in the playground. I suspect this wasn't for me at the time. I remember I will have watched the first one because we had 4 channels and there was not a lot else to watch. So if there was something that was being talked about, I would probably end up watching it. I suspect I didn't get to the very end because, let's face it, there's an awful lot of wardrobe and witch before you get to the lion in this.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's not really for me. I do remember going to the library and getting out another book in the Chronicles of Narnia.
Okay. Can you remember which one it was? Like, obviously, the next one would be Prince Caspian.
Nope, not that one.
So, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader.
I think it was A Horse and His Boy.
Right, okay. Which they don't cover at all in the BBC TV series, nor do they do The Magician's Nephew.
I don't know why it was that one. I don't know. I don't think I read it. I think I started it and went, this ain't got a lion in it and things like that. I want a wardrobe. I want a witch. I want Turkish delight. It wasn't giving me that in the first chapter. Back it goes. Yeah. But I do remember getting that out of the library, and so there must have been some cultural knowledge of this series. I mean, now I'm kicking myself. I 100% would not have known the correct order of these books, which to me now feels like an absolute disgrace that my parents let me get a book out not knowing the correct order and potentially spoiling future episodes.
No, genuinely, I think the Chronicles of Narnia, it's hard to work out unless you got a pack of books, because I got a pack which had them all in order. But of course, no one ever covers, like culturally, they don't cover The Horse and His Boy. Is that right? Yeah, Horse and His Boy. And The Magician's Nephew. Although we were just talking to our friend Alison, came around today. Hello, Alison. And we were talking about how Greta Gerwig is adapting the books for, I think, is it for Netflix she's doing it for? But it's going to be a film.
Yeah, it might
adaptation.
be Amazon. It might be, it's one of the few.
It's one of those, isn't it? Because there's been this hoo-ha about Meryl Streep being Aslan and people saying, oh, you can't gender swap. I'm like, it's a fictional lion. Come on, people. And she was talking about The Magician's Nephew and how good, that book is. And we were saying how Greta Gerwig's actually going to cover that in her series, in whatever form that comes out. And
it's going to be the first installment of this.
Which, of course, and coming back to what we're watching, the BBC show just completely forgot that existed and just went, yep, Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. That's what people know.
I'm not sure many people in the playground were talking about Prince Caspian and Voyage of the Dawn Treader.
I love The Silver Chair as well because it's really dark, but I really like Voyage of the Dawn Treader in particular because it's a mission. It's mission based and it's very it's like cyclical. So you go from one, cyclical is not the right word. You go from one, what is the word? You go from one place to another. It's like gaming, when people do games and then people watch television and say, oh, it's very game-like because you've got a task and then you go to the next thing and you've got a task and you go to the next thing. It's that anyway.
It's like a quest.
That's it, yeah. So shall we talk about this show? How many episodes was it? I've
6.
completely forgotten. Right, 6 episodes. And they do throw you right in. I think it's interesting what you were talking about there about saying to your mum, if there was a war, where would I go? Because I listened to a podcast who covered one of the later film adaptations, like, from the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And I listened to that the other day in sort of like
2005.
Thank you. In readiness for this. And they were American podcasters and they spent an inordinate amount of time talking about how they didn't understand the beginning of the film because in the beginning of the film, the children was put on a train and sent to the country. And I thought, isn't that really interesting that we have that cultural sort of knowledge that children in the war being sent on a train is just evacuees from the Blitz.
Yeah.
You go from London but they had no knowledge of that whatsoever, and they spent a long time talking about how really badly written it was, and that why were they on this train, where were they going, what had happened to their parents, why were they is it like they said, well there's just no reason for it, but we know it's the Blitz and it's like a shorthand, isn't it?
Why are these kids being sent to live with a creepy professor?
A creepy old man. I don't think he is creepy. I think he's quite whimsical. I think he treads the line very carefully.
I think there's a fine line, and he's straddling it.
Do you think so?
Yes. Yeah, of course he is.
But anyway, the Pevensey children, the 4 Pevensey children, and you only learnt about the Pevenseys recently, didn't you? Because it kept coming up on like Pointless or something like that. And like quiz shows, it kept coming up what the name of the children from Chronicles of Narnia
I thought they were called Pensive all the way through. So, yeah.
But the 4 of them, they get sent to the professor's house in the country. And you've got Lucy the youngest, then Edmund, then Susan, and then Peter.
By the way, Susan, when I was like 8, as I would be when this came on, would be my ideal woman. So, yeah, I think that would have kept me.
Do you mean like as a person?
No.
She's very maternal.
I would have probably... No, yeah, but I would have proper fancied her.
Oh, right, okay, because she's the older of the 2 and she's well dressed. And yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Well dressed did not come into it.
No, but she looked
she was
put
the
together.
sort of girl I would have been fancying at 8 years old.
Right,
so, yeah.
Lovely. Very good. I didn't fancy any of them, just to put that out there.
No, funny that.
In fact, I found some of them quite annoying at the time. And watching it now, I did wonder whether you would find the acting, like at the time, child actors, you don't really notice it, do you? But as an adult, noticing child actors can be interesting. I didn't think they were that bad. I don't know what you felt like as someone coming to it a bit more afresh.
I didn't. I think their acting was fine. They are playing very posh children, and they talk in a way that I don't see children talking nowadays.
Yeah.
Oh, golly, Josh.
Yes.
It's very much, they are playing the children that I probably would have read in the Famous Five, where they are very polite, all apart from one naughty boy.
Yep.
They are very proper, and they speak in a way that I don't think children speak now, and I don't think people necessarily speak now.
And actually, when you look at them, they're all dressed in like ties and, jumpers, and like the boys are wearing their little shorts.
There's a war on. I think there's probably better things to do each time than put a little tie on a child.
Yeah, I thought they weren't too bad. I did think that Edmund was actually the sort of the weakest of the four of them. I found him there was just almost like he was thinking of his lines, and it was almost like someone had told him the line and then he was repeating it.
But he's got the most to do out of this.
Yeah. And he has the biggest character arc in the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, he's the only one that actually has a character arc in this. Peter starts off as the oldest child and
a bit bossy.
Says, "Golly gosh, I'm not what he's doing isn't on." But Susan just does literally nothing throughout the entire.
But she looks after everyone, which is a real. As you read the book later on, and we'll talk about this when we watch the other ones. But C.S. Lewis has a real thing about her wanting to wear makeup or like growing up, and there's a weird thing where it's almost like he's chastising her for wanting to be an adult woman. There's some interesting things going on there.
Let's move on.
Yeah. So she just remains maternal. Lucy is just full of wonder and awe, and remains full of wonder and awe throughout the whole thing, doesn't she? And very sprightly.
Massively annoying though. I don't have a lot of time for.
She's quite moany, isn't she? She's quite like, especially when she's like going on about, "Oh, you don't believe me." It's like, but you don't believe me. It's like, it's a really squeaky voice, but yeah.
You've also met a really, really creepy faun.
So creepy. I think he's the creepiest version of all, because you've got James McAvoy in the later film adaptations, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the 3 films, is it? That they did. I couldn't really tell you much about any of them, especially Lion, Witch and the Wardrobe made a shit ton of money, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then I've seen Prince Caspian with Ben Barnes,
Yeah.
But I never bothered. Like, I can't remember anything about it. I found it quite boring, I think.
It's not the greatest of the books.
And then Disney decided to not create the 3rd one. I think it was bought by a different studio, and they produced The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and I don't think it made a lot of money at all. But yes.
But that faun, I find and I remember thinking, oh, Mr Tumnus is really creepy, but he's more creepy now. I think as an adult you have more worldly knowledge, I think, of a strange man coming up to someone in the forest and going, "Come back to mine for tea and cakes," then playing the flute and putting something weird in their tea, or sending them to sleep.
He takes his shirt off at one point as well.
I know, yeah. And I mean, he's covered in like hair, isn't he? But it's weird.
The optics aren't great. I
think
to put a modern.
Yeah. And obviously, like, it's very quickly it turns to him crying and her having to console him. But it is it like you say, the optics are good of him saying, "Oh no, I've done something terrible," and crying, and the sort of young girl having to say, "Oh, don't worry, I won't tell anyone," sort of thing. There is something about that's very creepy.
I'm not even sure that registered with me until.
I think it like as an adult, because I think as a parent as well, you like put yourself in the, like, if your child had forget about the magical forest and the wardrobe, but if your child met someone in, and they did that, you would be like screaming, "Run for your life," wouldn't you? Like, no, don't give him a tissue. Get onto the police.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't care. He's crying. He should cry. He's done wrong. So yeah. Mr. Tumnus, I do not. And then later when he gets turned to stone, I'm like, well, he deserved it.
I'm just imagining Mr. Tumnus appearing on a Facebook video.
Oh yes.
Being caught outside of a shop by people in hoodies. Yeah.
Yeah, there are some really creepy. I think there's quite like creepy, but also like quite disturbing elements to the story. Which for a story that's meant to be based in like obviously C.S. Lewis was a man of religion, a man of faith, and he was peppering all of his faith into these stories.
I didn't notice that at all. You know the Messiah that comes in halfway through that dies and then comes back to life. Literally about 3 minutes later in the way the story's told. The death of Aslan is not one that's that sticks around for a while, is it?
No, it doesn't. I think, but then of course, again, you're dealing with it's a children's TV show, so his death is very, I think, for kids, you know, it's emotional because the things, you know, the witch is, you know, muzzle him and do this, and there's things climbing all over him, and they're really goading him, and it's an upsetting scene, I think, for children.
Yeah.
So you've got to kind of get past that quite quickly, otherwise you're going to traumatize some kids, aren't you? You know, if you left that for too long.
I think
because they shaved his hair and everything.
But did they though? Did they? Because
no, they clip it. I
mean, it's not really the most brutal of shavings I've ever seen.
No,
like they're just it's
they
fine.
Give a bit of a haircut.
Nothing changed. You can't
It's
tell.
not nice though. It's very bullying. It's a very bullying scene, with all the ghouls and the things climbing all over him.
Can we talk about who the star of this is?
Go on.
Because it is Barbara Kellerman as the White Witch.
Oh, she's so good. Her voice, like the way that she uses her voice and projects her voice, and she can go from like really sickly sweet when she's trying to like tempt Edmund with her Turkish delight, and then this like almost like an operatic scream when she's very, very unhappy with everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Does she appear in the other
She appears as a different character. It's almost like a cameo of a different character later on. It was one of the things that I really, you know, when you're a kid and you like picking up on things that you think no one else has noticed, even though it would be really obvious by watching the credits. But there's a couple of people who,
because all kids watch the credits, yeah.
Well, I would have done. There's another character that she plays, and it's meant to be sort of a callback. That's how, and Big Mick, who plays her companion, who is the I can't remember his name, but he rides the sleigh.
Yes.
And he in real life he's called Big Mick. He also appears.
I feel that's probably a nickname.
Well, no, it's down in the credits.
Yes, I realise that.
Yeah,
yes,
it's down in the credits.
I think when you say in real life, he's called.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you're being funny with me.
You made me sit through 3 hours of this.
You enjoyed it. It's only half an hour. You were enjoying it. You were laughing and writing down notes. Anyway, we were talking to Alison this morning. I'm going to go back to Alison because we had a really good chat with her. We were talking to Alison this morning about the graphics and the special effects. How did you cope with the 1988 special effects?
So I think to pay this a really positive, this was obviously shot on location. There is seemingly real snow. If it's like fake studio snow, it looks very realistic. It is shot in a real forest, and that's what separates this from. Did you ever watch Through the Dragon's Eye?
No.
So it was, remember Look and Read?
Yes, very
with
much
Wordy,
so. Yeah.
And Geordie Racer. And Through the Dragon's Eye.
Okay.
Through the Dragon's Eye. And
maybe I would if
Dark
I saw
Tower.
it. Oh,
Yeah.
I love Dark Tower.
So it might not have been on, because I don't think it was on when I was in school, but it was on when I was at uni on my Wednesdays, which I had that off. So I used to turn on the telly, and obviously we only had 4 channels as per normal. Channel 5 would probably have been on by then. Maybe we had 5 channels. But yeah, it was not number blocks, because that's something Blake watches. But yeah, it was Through the Dragon's Eye.
Okay.
It's a really cheap mystical like thing where they taught you words at the end.
Oh, okay, right.
And Derek Griffiths probably sang some songs about building yourself a word.
Okay.
But it was all shot in studio, so it looked really cheap. Whereas this, like, there is some really, like, you can look back and think, I can see these are real people stood in a real forest.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they've got some really shitty hand-drawn monsters at certain points.
Yeah. I thought they were beautifully done, and it almost seemed in keeping with the books. You know, if I looked at the illustrations from the books, that seemed to be in keeping with it. I don't know how else they would have been able to do it at that time, other than have
like
these
headcanon.
hand draw. Okay, thanks.
There's a lion that's on screen.
Yeah.
So I don't, and there's 2 beavers on screen.
Yeah, we'll come to them.
I don't think. I would prefer if you weren't in there, because they don't really do anything. They just stand there and like.
Well, they do attack during the battle.
Yes.
They do attack various.
I mean, battles
things.
in.
I know you had a problem
commas,
with the battle. Should we talk about Aslan then? Because obviously, like you're saying, there's a lion on screen. I really like the representation of the lion. I'm pleased it wasn't like a hand drawn illustration.
The puppetry really stands up. It really does.
There's only a couple of times where you can clearly see that there's like a person inside, and it sort of bends in the middle and that sort of thing.
I wouldn't say there was a couple of times. I think, as an adult, I was not going, I don't know how they've managed to get Clarence the lion to not eat these children. It always looked like a puppet to me. But I think it certainly looks more realistic than would typically be the case from children's TV around this time.
And I thought the face is very there's a lot of there's a lot in the face.
Yeah, it does show emotion.
It does show emotion, yeah.
Which not typically from this time. Yeah. So I mean, look, maybe you could have spent a couple £100 less on that and a couple of quid more on hand drawing these beasts that just appear on the side of and look like they've been photoshopped in.
The thing that really doesn't work, which we alluded to just a few moments ago, is the beavers, and the costuming of the beavers is, I mean, it's literally they've put some cardboard over the top of them, painted it brown, and you can see the bottom of the feet and the legs coming through, and the shoes.
Right, I'm going to defend this. I don't really mind the beavers as a visual representation.
Okay.
The characters were annoying as fuck, but there was one time when I nearly wanted to turn it off because I was getting that annoyed with Mrs. Beaver.
Was it when Mrs. Beaver wouldn't leave the den and everyone's going, come on, and she's trying to pack?
Absolutely.
And,
yes.
And then she wants to take a sewing machine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ludicrous.
Well, it is meant to be.
Absolutely ludicrous.
That.
You're putting these people at danger.
Yes.
You need to stop this.
She's like, let me go and check. Have we got any hankies? Have we got any of this? And then later on, it sort of comes back as a callback because someone says, I wish I wasn't so cold. I think it was Susan. And she says, I've got just the thing. And she says, see, you wanted me not to pack all this. I do. I think I feel empathy for Mrs. Beaver because there have been many a time when I've gone out with our son and have forgotten something. And I desperately needed it, and now I pack like as if we're going away for a week.
I'm not
when
really
we go out.
sure this is relevant to the.
I'm just saying, I feel more empathy towards Mrs. Beaver as an older woman, needing things for on the road. I mean, she only gets one thing. She doesn't really use much of it. She only gets one thing out, which is this drink. And then she meets Aslan, and it's all fine.
Doesn't Aslan buy her, or is that?
No, that's Father Christmas. You're thinking of Father Christmas. He pops up. I never liked that bit, and I'm still not keen on it here, that it's Father Christmas that arrives. Because it just feels like it's muddling up all of the fantasy bits. Like, why is he there?
It feels like a narrative crutch that wasn't necessarily needed. It's always the day before Christmas.
Yes.
And I can understand why, to a child, that would sound devastating. But putting actual Father Christmas is I understand what you mean. It feels like it's taking something from Earth and putting it into there, which I don't necessarily think it needs if we're going to treat this as a as a separate world.
Yeah, and they could have very easily have got presents from Aslan, for example. He could have when he knights I mean, again, it's so gendered and so sexist. So he knights Peter, and Peter gets a sword. Susan gets a horn to call for help, and she does get a bow and arrow, but she is not to fight. That's just to defend yourself. And Lucy gets to help people feel better. She gets like a linctus or whatever. Is it a tincture or something to make people feel better, because that's a nursing profession for Lucy, isn't it? And
yes,
it's just so, it annoys me so much.
Yeah, I mean, it is of its time.
Yes.
And I don't like the idea that Peter's just put into battle straight away.
Yeah.
He's a 10-year-old child. Don't put him into a sword fight. He will obviously die. Although he doesn't in this.
He doesn't, no. Against the he has to fight Morgrim, which is the queen, because she calls herself the queen now. The witch's sort of head of security, isn't he, Morgrim?
If you've been beaten by a 10-year-old child, I think he's pretty shit at his job.
He's a big wolf.
Yes.
But yeah, it's an interesting part of the series, because you have this sort of like it goes into like this, the battle of those two together, like fades out everyone in the background and it all goes red. So they're trying to do something.
I don't think that necessarily worked for me.
I don't think it did.
And when I said don't think that necessarily worked, I sat going, what are they doing here? It looked shit.
Okay, good. Anything else in your notes that you want to cover?
Yeah. So the guy who plays Peter Pensive.
Pevensey.
Sorry. I will forever call him Peter Pensive and all the others Pensive.
Great, I look forward to that.
Do you know what he's been doing recently?
Oh, I think I did look him up, but I can't remember. What is it?
He's been starring in the National Theatre production of Dr. Strangelove with Steve Coogan.
Oh, with Steve Coogan.
Yeah.
I was going to go see that.
Well, there he is.
Oh. And... Oh. You know what? When I see him, Mark's just showing me, for everyone at home, Mark's showing me a picture of him. When I see him as an adult, he looks more like Edmund than he does...
I disagree.
Do you not think so? Where he's got sort of reddish hair. Oh, yeah, when you... He looks a bit like Tom York. He's got a look of Tom York about him, hasn't he? Well, I suppose you start out BBC when you're very young.
This is what you get when you mess with the Pevensies.
Exactly. That's right. But yeah,
when he's king, you'll be first against the wall.
Yeah, he's doing very well. King of Narnia.
I mean, it's come out of nowhere because I think he was doing bit parts in 1917 as Mackenzie officer, and
right.
And that's his only credit for like the last 10 years.
Oh right, that's interesting. Unless he's been doing a lot of theatre work.
Well, it could have been. Yeah, that could be it. Yeah. He was in one episode of Doc Martin. So you've probably seen him in something.
I should go and shout at him.
I think
Narnia. We're watching Narnia again.
That show is no longer running. It has come to the end of its run, I'm afraid.
Oh, has it?
Yes.
That's a shame.
So, yeah, look, I think we're going to carry on with the series.
Yes, we are.
We're watching something else first.
Yes. So we're gonna do the, sort of my series and your series. And your series is?
I'm going to make you, and this might literally be making.
This is making.
We're going to watch 6 episodes of Saved by the Bell.
But you were explaining this to me the other day. We went out for a long walk, and I was trying to talk to you about something other than writing my novel. And I think you were also trying to talk to me about something other than wrestling, or where WrestleMania is going to be next year.
Yes.
So we were trying to go on to a different topic to not drive each other mad. And we started talking about this idea of Saved by the Bell. And what you're going to do, if I understand this rightly and I listened properly, is you're going to select 6 episodes that you think would be good episodes to watch and to talk about out of a run of 20 odd.
Yeah, I mean, out of a run of about 70 odd, I think it's.
Oh,
so
you mean
we're
out
not
of
just
the
doing the
whole
first
thing?
series.
Right,
We
okay.
are, yeah. There is not so many episodes of this that are so essential viewing that I can narrow it down to certain series.
Okay.
We'll probably do the first one.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is actually the pilot, but it'll certainly be an introduction to everyone. We'll probably do the episode where anyone will be able to tell the most famous episode. You've never seen an episode of Saved by the Bell, have you?
I have. I just can't remember it very well. I know there's something about drugs and the curly-haired one.
Yes. Jessie.
Yes. Yeah. There's something about that I remember. But I think it's because you've talked to me about
100%.
it as well. Yeah.
I've dropped this in the conversation in the past.
I think you may have even shown me clips of it.
Okay, interesting.
But yeah, so as much as Chronicles of Narnia is sort of a big old nostalgic hug for me, Saved by the Bell is that sort of show for you, isn't it?
Absolutely. This was mornings when during the summer, because it was always on Channel 4. It was then later on Trouble. Like, they did all the Peter Engel TV shows like back to back. So it was basically, which one have you got? Have you got Hang Time? You got California Dreams? You got Saved by the Bell? So yeah, we'll probably do that. We'll probably do the one where Mr Belding's brother comes and teaches at the school, because that's one that sticks in my mind. We'll probably do one of the later ones with Tori, the extra character that they added. It'll give us plenty to talk about.
Cool. And then we'll come back and we'll record an episode about Saved by the Bell.
And Elaine will say that we are no longer doing this feature. Would you?
No, because I want to get to the Voyage of the Dawn Treader.
Okay, so we'll do that. We'll do the silver chair, and then we'll stop.
Yeah, no, we will. I think it could be a good occasional series. We haven't done this before, so let us know if it's something that you're enjoying.
And I think also, if there's a TV show that you watched as a kid that you want us to talk about, please get in touch and suggest it.
Yeah, please do that, because there's loads of Chronicles of Narnia that we can go through, and Mark's only got one Saved by the Bell, 6 episodes to do, so we'll need to we can't just do lots of Chronicles of Narnia.
I have 100% got other things that I can
Have you?
do. All the things I talk about that you go, oh, I never watched that.
Yeah.
I'm talking Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I'm talking The Simpsons. There's plenty for me to watch.
Okay. But still, I would prefer for our wonderful listeners to come in with some suggestions as well.
Yes,
that would make me more inclined to do it.
Okay.
Well, thanks very much for listening, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed that.
And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.